Thanks for coming to our last big session of the day here. I'm Dean Takahashi, the lead writer for GamesBeat at VentureBeat. I've been writing about the game industry for 19 years now, and I've been at VentureBeat for 7 years. We do our own GamesBeat conferences a couple of times a year. So I have a lot of fun interviewing people about the business of gaming and the tech of gaming, and we're going to get to do some more of that right away here. So without further ado, I would like to have my panelists introduce themselves and also just say a little bit about your background in games.
My name is Roman Povolotski. I'm from Russia. I have been worked in game industry for 10 years and have a couple of projects running already, social, browser games, and so on. So we have different projects in Russian social networks and Facebook, and we change a lot of different companies to understand how to develop it much more efficiently.
So my name is Leonid Sirotin. I'm also from Russia, already almost 20 years in development. Developed more than 100 projects. Up to last year, I was in the company Game Insight as a chief producer. Before, I was in company Astrum Online Entertainment. It was merged with Mail.ru. I participated in all big browser projects that are launched in Russia, and as myself, I made many games. I participated as producer in all the games that Game Insight made, and myself as developer, I developed the big casual and mobile and social hit Mystery Manor, first ever hidden object game and social networks.
Hello, I'm Alexander Vashchenko. I'm president of company GamesBeat. So we making many games for mobile devices, for browser, for client-based games. I'm making the game 12 years. What from my portfolio, it's Legend and Dragons, the huge successful Russian browser-based game.
Did you forget what game?
And I'm from Russia too.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I'm also from Russia. Originally, right now I live in Riga, Latvia, and work for Estonian company Creative Mobile. I am 11 years in gaming industry. My name is Valentin Merzlikin. I used to be head of business development in a company called Alavar, famous for its casual games. We've been many years with Casual Connect, and another 3 years I spent in Belarus, managing small indie studio, working on mobile titles. And last year, I'm helping Creative Mobile to develop their publishing division, and working with developers mostly, helping them to turn their titles into hits. That's it.
So we're revising the title of the panel to Commandments for Russian Game Developers, right? And but actually, no, we're gonna focus more on lessons for free-to-play companies and smaller game companies. These are our lessons for how to survive given today's market in mobile, and we're talking about, say, the markets, the trends, the audience, platforms, and game development, and we're trying to keep it moving pretty fast so that we can have quick answers to some of these, and just sort of collectively give the audience a lot of wisdom here. So for starters, what's your favorite market and what's your least favorite market, as far as what you could make your next game for, and maybe a sub-market within the larger mobile market, whatever. But Roman, you can start.
As for I think that the best market right now is the most paid market. So it's like United States and English-based, English language countries. My favorite genre is match-free RPG. I make a lot of games like that, and I like this. And I think that we need to make the games that we love to play. So I like this genre.
And your least favorite market right now?
I think there is no any least favorite. There is something special in every market. So it is a term, sense you like it or you don't like. So I don't like actions. I don't like shooters, something like that.
All right.
Well, the question was favorite market, and my favorite market is Japanese market because of highest RPU in the world. But if we are speaking about the market for developers, especially for the small developers and especially for the Western developers, we should choose from our possibilities. Most lucrative markets in the world are Asian markets. As I said before, Japanese market, very lucrative market is Chinese market, Korean market, but for Western developer, it's almost impossible to enter in this market with a small budget. Even with a big budget, it's hard. And if we are speaking about the small teams, we could choose the word impossible very, very clearly. So the English-speaking market it's no words for it. The biggest market on mobile, for example, is the United States after the Japanese market. But if we see the Russian developers here, Russia is also a very solid market for the free-to-play games. Germany, if we are developing the strategies, for example, and something like Trevian-like games and so on. European countries are not so good for business. So if we choose with priorities for the big companies, Japanese, Korean, Chinese market, for the smaller companies, the English-speaking countries like USA and Canada, and for the Russian developers is Russia.
So your least favorite is what then?
Least favorite,
Yeah.
I think France and other European countries.
For what reason?
They don't like to play they don't like free-to-play games. They don't like to pay in free-to-play games.
Okay.
I agree with Leonid. Of course, Asian market is very good, huge money. But by my experience, China, it's very difficult without any partnership with big players there. Impossible, absolutely impossible. And so if you don't have some guys from Tencent or so on, you will never do it something on Chinese market. Yeah. So this is last one of markets where I want to go with my games. America, USA, and Great Britain, of course, the biggest money for our Western developers, because we understand the culture, we can make the games that players like, and of course, we don't forget about Russian people, a Russian market, because the big money there. But not in all platforms. Social games and browser-based games has a big part of money, but mobile it's not so large now. Maybe
Client-based also.
Client-based also, yes, has a big part of money pie in Russia.
Valentin?
Sorry, Valentin, I wanted to add one more thing about Chinese market. If you are going in Chinese market, even with a big partnership, you should wait for the bad things to happen. They can take your game, they can reverse engineer it and clone it in 2 months. And then even your big partnership will go down and the new game will go up. we experienced that.
My favorite market is probably Canadian App Store. You may find a lot of nice surprises over there because many companies use this as a major market for the soft launches. You may see it has a totally different picture sometimes. And in this case, I would say that's my personal favorite. In terms of the money, of course, we look to the American Google Play. We got hundreds of millions of downloads from this market. And so far, Google is our major partner. And for indies, I would recommend to go to the markets that they understand. Just don't follow the common trend. Try to find something yourself, and this becomes your favorite. If you're a Chinese developer, probably you will succeed in Chinese market. If you're a Russian developer, you might want to start with Russian market. If you're from Lithuania or Latvia, of course you need to pick something bigger than Latvian App Store. But anyway, just follow common sense and try to do something that you really like. And I don't have a least favorite. I don't have time for least favorite markets. I don't think about that.
Yeah. So I assume everybody's goal is to become a global gaming company, right? Is that everybody what you guys want to do? But you can't do that just say by focusing on the Russian market, and that's what you know best. So how are you going to sort of make this leap to learn how to become a global game company? And what's the hardest thing for you to do there?
It's not so hard right now because we have a global market in our pocket, so we have very quick access to it. Every social
network. So you
network.
can publish globally easily.
Yes, it's easily and.
But you have to go there with the right game, and that's
yes. The main thing is that you need to have a game. If you don't have a game, it is impossible to go on some market. So right now, running a lot of conferences that you can find any contact you need and make global in 1 year. We meet some developers who had only 1,000 users last year, and right now they have millions of users. So it's very,
be
very
a
quick.
publisher and find talented developers in other markets.
I think it is better for you to be a talented developer because if you can make money on users, you will find a lot of traffic here. But if you don't have game, it's not useful.
Okay. Some other ideas for this?
The word global in this question is a trap, actually. If you study the history of success of many, many companies, indie, small companies, or very big companies, you will see that the determining factor of success was a very precise focus on audience of the current market. For example, if we're speaking about the old companies, we were speaking about Blizzard. First, they succeeded in the English-speaking in the USA. We can say it for sure. If we are speaking of the current companies, current big companies on the market, for example, we're speaking about, say, Wargaming and World of Tanks. First, they succeeded in Russia and neighboring countries. Then they succeeded in China. First, even for the global company, first the focus on maybe on the very small things. We were speaking about small companies, about the indie developers, especially. We can go global in, as Roman said, in the current situation, we can go global in seconds. Just open up your application app store and you're already global. But the question is, can you be global with the audience, with different kinds of players, with the different kinds of game mechanics, even in one game? For example, the players of Russia, they can't pay in free-to-play game. And if we look at a huge successful game Warface in Russia, they're earning huge amount of money and almost no success in other countries. But games were developed by a global company, by the Crytek, by the Ukrainian, even more global, by the Ukrainian branch of Crytek, and only successful in Russia because of different types of audience, because of different types of traffic. So the most hardest thing for the global company is first to concentrate and then to go global?
I think that in nowadays, no problem for gaming company to be a global, because all platforms are open, and you can make a game and spread it in all world. But another question about business and business development in different countries. Yeah, if you want to make some huge big deals in Eastern region, you need Eastern partners, of course. If you want to, if I Russian development, it's a problem for me to do something good in Eastern region. I can say that from side of developers, what's the hardest part to be global? This is to understand the culture and speciality of another countries. If I sit in Moscow, yeah, I don't understand how people living and what they want in Japan. This is a problem for little developers. For big developers also, but if you have big money, you can make research or use some outsourcing from Japan. For little developers, this is a problem. This is a problem to be a global company because nobody understands what is it.
You guys are already pretty big, right? I mean, you've got 9 studios, right? And 700 people, right?
Yeah, GamesBeat on this way.
And most of the studios though are in Eastern Europe, right? And I'm wondering, like, do you feel like you need to have studios in the West and in Asia? Do you need more game studios in order to become this more global company, or do you think you can do it with, Eastern European studios?
What about GamesBeat? Yes, we make it. We sitting from Lithuania and Moscow. We can make games for West. The next step, what we're doing now, we making steps to the East. This is our goal on 1 year. The West region more comfortable for us because this is about our culture. We're near to West, so we make and games and all our marketing, PR materials, understanding what people like and want in West region. And 2 years, 3 years ago, we have office in USA, but we understand that it's not necessary for us. So we concentrate in Lithuania, and this is best choice for us for now.
Well, it's easy to build a global company if you start in a small country like Estonia with a 1 million population all over the whole country is just 1 million people. If you're going to build a company, you will be looking towards West or East. In this case, we were looking to the West, and we're building games that American players enjoy, and we follow this strategy. It's very easy. Just stay open-minded, learn something new from every market you enter, and keep doing this better and better every year. It's a very simple strategy.
So just how about audiences, and how do you think about audiences that game developers should target, and and why, and are there some commandments there that you can think of how to properly target the right people?
To operate well, you mean? Okay, if you have some kind of RPG game, for example, you need to have skilled users, because the most likely audience to that genre is older than 18 years old. If you have action game, it is for young players, definitely. And the first of all, you need to understand the behavior of your audience. For example, if your gameplay is attractive to women, the best way to gain more audience is to target on women. But you need to make analysis of the game that you have, and you need to have some test traffic. A lot of companies can make it. And after this, the traffic that makes the better retention is usually your kind of audience. So after you make analysis, you understand what amount of users you can get, and also you can target on different countries. Usually it takes something about a month to understand what is your audience. You can target on Australia, Canada, United States, and Asia. And if you have success on Australia and Canada, it means that you would have success on United States and United Kingdom. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
We can go to this question with a very analytic point of view, but I should say you should target the audience that you can understand at least. For example, there are many people in the market, small teams, they are developing now the clones of the Candy Crush Saga and other Match 3 projects, but without basic understanding on the core auditory of this kind of project, without basic understanding of these women older than 30 years, you can never achieve success. It's impossible. There are so many little things, for example, color schematic and dynamic of gameplay. You should understand the audience. First, all of us are common humans. When we're choosing the game, we are very seldom going with the business purpose. We're going with the game we love. And then it can appear that we are the only audience for this game. So the main question we should ask to ourselves, what audience we can communicate with. For example, for me, I know that I can communicate with these women older than 30, because I love women older than 30 years old. And I can communicate with hardcore audience because I'm a hardcore player myself. So I should choose from these two audience, for example.
As for me, I prefer making games for hardcore audience because, as Leonid say, I understand this audience. I know that they have money for my game and for me, and I can talk with them on one language. So yes, I prefer to making the game in that sector when I professional. And this strategy I provide for all my studios in GamesBeat and the previous company. You need to do what you like and choose that auditory that you understand.
Well, that's true. It's easier to work with audience that you understand. You probably understand that this kind of games is what you really want to create. In this case, you'll get better results. At least you get better games. In terms of the choosing the strategy, it's a combo of the marketing approach, of the producer's approach, and you always should choose. If you have a portfolio strategy that covers, I don't know, male population 16 to 35, that's the common to very close to our demographics. We understand that we are able to push them a lot of different games. We can sell them, battlers or I don't know, just racing games. It's very different genres, but we know that we will see some. That audience is actually coming from one game to another, and we're able to convert them to playing and paying users. It depends on what target you have in your mind. Do you want to make games, or do you want to publish them? Do you want to sell more games? If you're a small developer, don't just think about it. That's a good strategy. Just try to make the best game you are able to create. And with experience, you will, getting more experience, you will understand what kind of games are other players like, or something like that. Or go to a publisher. He will tell you what you need to create.
So I'm going to start asking some questions, maybe even a little faster. And if you don't have an answer, you don't have to answer. I can go fine just with maybe one answer to it. But is there a trend that is sort of a general trend that's happening that caused you to make a game in a different way? Oh, is there a trend that, say, is a big trend that everybody, say, should be aware of that caused you to make a game in a different way?
From my point of view, there is a big trend that should be aware. All the markets now, without differences between them, are in some kind of little or big crisis. It's because we have now the biggest economic crisis in the world in the last years, so it mirrored in the game industry. And we should think about our future, thinking not in bright colors. So it's a big trend. We should lessen our appetites, for example.
I think that the main trend we discussed with Leonid in another conference, that canvas game development, it seems that will be over in a couple of years, and we can see now that the pattern of usage of the games moving from canvas to mobile. So every month, the more players comes from canvas to mobile, and I think that if you're a small developer, it is better for you to be focused on mobile.
So there's some people who are out there who are predicting bad things for indie game developers. So there's too many of them. They call this and the prices for games have been falling, user acquisition costs have been rising. People are calling this the coming indie-pocalypse, right? Do you believe in an indie-pocalypse coming, or do you think we're in an indie boom still?
I think no apocalypse is coming because people want to play games. I see some trends that organic traffic grow. So if you make the right work with your game, with your community, with your PR, you can gain traffic without without buying the traffic. And we see a lot of examples of this. So I think the previous question, yeah, that trend people become more and more addictive to games, and more hardcore players. They starting with Candy Crush Saga or so on, and 1, 2, 3 years, 5 years, yeah, and then they start to play in maybe shooters, maybe stages, maybe our games, yeah. So gaming community grow every year. So where apocalypse?
Definitely in the boom. Because people are tired of free-to-play model, and it is so much games like that that I think the industry seems to be waves. So it was the wave of indie, something like 5 years ago. Then it comes to free-to-play market. Then I think it will comes back to indie because people like something new, something special, and indie is so different that it's like very interesting right now, because a lot of developers make really good ideas, and they can be worldwide. So I hope it will be like this.
There are 3 common problems with indie developers that are leading to this indie apocalypse. First, there are too many of them, and the overall quality is not very high. The second problem is a global crisis, as I said before. And the third problem, almost no one from indie developers is thinking about their business as business. They're just launching 1, 2 games, and then they encounter the common business problems, and it's all for them.
They are not indies anymore, right? If they turn to this team, to the approach of making small indie style games and turn it into our business, into the factory approach. They're not, I mean, they're not indies anymore in the classic sense. I think that the growth of this team, the growth of the number of projects doesn't mean that we're close to apocalypse. We're just close to, we just need to find a new market and send these new developers over there. I would say so. And it's very common situation on many markets. Like, we need to look into the home entertainment, not focus on I don't know, handhelds or something like that. As people that were making games for consoles missed the opportunity to become big on mobile, we might miss another opportunity right now if we're gonna focus on the same market and say that's our core strategy is just to stay there forever. You, again, stay open-minded and see if you see any opportunities. Just be brave to catch them.
So I'm going to ask for audience questions soon, but or ask another one here first. What is your favorite new platform, and when will it be a bigger opportunity for you than mobile?
I think Apple TV and TV set, because it seems to be a new console type. So I think that we will see a lot of games on this kind of platform next year, and I think that is the biggest perspective of game development.
Is it ever going to be a bigger than mobile platform for you?
I think that it will something like the same, because when you come at home and you take your mobile device, mobile device eat the audience from the TV. So I think it will be something between mobile and TV. Like you take mobile and play with it on TV set, because it have much more detailed size than your mobile.
Then?
We have only one very new platform. Your question was favorite new platform.
Favorite brand new platform.
Brand new. So
yeah.
we have only two. Okay, we have only two brand new platforms as the Apple TV, and it's brand new. As we have
virtual reality or augmented
virtual reality.
or,
It's very lucrative. It's very science fiction and cyberpunk. But I think we need 5 years more to achieve something in terms of money and development and on this platform.
I don't like new platforms, I like PC.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, year ago, I would say that VR seems to be the hottest platform. Right now, I don't know, I wouldn't agree with myself a year ago. But if we think about HoloLens as a combination of virtual reality and augmented reality, this seems to be one of the very interesting trends. You may start creating really interesting projects. Something like, I don't know, like what Nintendo did with introducing V to the market. Or something that we expected from Google Glass years ago. The HoloLens is how the Google Glass should look like years ago. And this is a huge opportunity for absolutely new type of games. For the other chance, I don't know, just home entertainment is very hot. Again, it's not just Apple TV, it's use of Chromecast as the opportunity to play on your mobile phone. I don't know, it definitely is something that developers should think about nowadays.
Just a quick question. I just read an article about QuizUp, the quiz game now being licensed to NBC in the United States and ITV in the UK. So a mobile game has now been licensed by the major TV. Well, NBC is probably the biggest in the US and ITV is probably one of the biggest in the UK. Is this the first time this has been done, that a mobile invented game has now been picked up by major? Because I haven't seen this before and I find it quite interesting. Do you know of any similar deals that the major broadcasting companies have picked up concept like this that started as a mobile game? There's a mobile game called QuizUp. It's a quiz game.
Quiz
and
Up.
Quizza, okay.
Quiz Up.
Okay.
And NPC, the TV station in the United States, probably the biggest one, has licensed that mobile game to make a TV show based on that mobile game. So it's going to be called Quiz Up. It just announced it a few days ago. And so the mobile game Quiz Up is now becoming a TV show Quiz Up. And they presented it at MIPCOM in France, which is a major conference. And there's a UK television station called ITV, which is one of the biggest ones in the UK, that picked it up there. So they've closed TV deals both in the States and the UK for a mobile game that started as a mobile game, and it's going to keep the name, and it's going to be a TV show now. And I find that super interesting, and I'm just wondering if this is the first time this has ever happened, that a major TV network in some of the major markets have done this. Do you know anything about this?
Mobile games become TV shows.
Just wondering if you have ever heard of this.
What's the question? Could it happen again?
Yeah, no, my question is, has this been done before? Do you know of other formats that have been starting as a mobile thing that has been picked up as a licensee for TV shows?
No. Before it happened, that license were bought for the feature movies, not for the TV shows. And I think in this case, it is something unique. The quiz game, we see not many quiz games in tops now. And yes, America, it's also the unique situation. They love the quiz games and the quiz shows.
So my prediction a few years ago was that we would see a Zynga poker casino on the Las Vegas Strip, and it hasn't happened yet, but
Zynga.
stranger things.
Nothing happened with Zynga.
Obviously, gaming devices are becoming another type of media, right? And this allows us to see to hear the stories like Rovio shooting the movie based on its IP. And I mean, we've been discussing this earlier with Sanders, that if you see many examples of games turning into something big, but it's very new. The industry is not so old, and while we have millions of players, and we have a really hot merchandise or built around the gaming IPs, it will come to many countries, and many networks will adopt to it. They need some time to evolve. I would expect that something similar will happen in Russia with I don't know, VGTRK company, or Germany that has really close relationships between TV stations and I don't know, huge MMO games or something like that. We'll see. The time will show us that these two industries, the TV and gaming industry, will start interacting more closely, especially with VR rise or something like that.
In terms of new platform, do you find that it could become more of a niche market because of how expensive hardware is? We know that the mobile market has become so successful because everybody has a mobile. So where, say, I would like to develop a good game for the VR headsets, there wouldn't really be much of a business model behind it. That's the question.
The question was about Apple Watch, or
about the, sorry?
Would you develop a game for a niche market, which could be small because not many people have, say, VR headsets right
not
now,
Apple Watch.
right? So would you target a market that's a subset of mobile because not everybody has it, right?
No, there are not so many things now in the world that we could say can repeat the success of mobile market. And personally, I say only one thing: it's the TV, and there are already consoles in there.
Another interesting question along those lines is: would you develop a game that used only the Apple TV remote?
For the small team, it's a way. For the bigger team, nope.
It might be a good opportunity to set relationships with a platform. If you supporting some platform initiative, there's a chance you'll get featured, you get featured again and again. It will help you to build a great relationship with a company that may be defining your future, like Apple. Well, if it's a smaller company, some startup that just raised money on a Kickstarter, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I think that it will be very efficient for you if your game have a pattern that use mobile device like a joystick and TV set like a screen. So if you have a game that have the same pattern of usage of the mobile device like this, it is definitely a good way for you to success.
So we're running low on time. I had one more interesting question for you. Do we have any more audience questions, by the way? Okay, so I'll ask this one. What's your dream game and what is preventing you from making it?
I dream game in the dreams, and my wife inspired me on that. So I think that everyone must have inspiration of its own, because if you don't have that, you need to find. And this is the way how we make a game. You need to make concentration on the idea, and you need to understand how it is possible to make it. And after that, you need to have a plan from the very beginning to the end of your idea. So it works something like this for me.
I have a list of dream games, already more than 20 topics in there. So every big game I was playing more than half a year, it's my dream game. But the game I dream most, I think now it's the mix of the Heroes of Might and Magic and Master of Arion. I think that's a very good mix that I would dream of but would never do.
My dream game at that moment, I think something about Fallout type games, post-apocalyptic with some huge technology in this world, something like that. But as Leonid say, I don't do it, and not to do it in near future, because dream game. I think that nobody need to make the dream game, because this is a bad way for developers.
Valentin?
Well, I have a dream game, but I'm not planning to share what it's going to be because I'm still planning to turn it into life. I mean, I'm going to start it someday.
What's the hardest thing about making it for you?
I need to change the job and finally start making games, not just selecting them for our publishing department.
Okay.
For me, it means going back to indie status, probably. It's going to be fun.
So what's your advice maybe for developers out there as far as mistakes that they can avoid? Maybe mistakes that you've made or mistakes that you see everybody else make. And what are these big mistakes and how should they avoid them?
The main mistakes are around the games that we don't like. Sometimes we look something on top charts and we think that it is possible to make, but we don't understand the user's behavior. And we try to make something like that, but it doesn't happen. So you need to love the game that you make. This is the main rule. You need to understand the user that will play it, and this is the main idea.
The only mistake that you can make, I think personally, is to have fear of mistakes. There's no problem to make mistakes. We all have or will have success and we will have failures. It's no problem that the game is the games that we make is part of our lives. So just be bold, be brave, go forward with anything you can.
The often mistake I see many times that developers think that No, no, think they start to making the business before they make some good game. I think this is the worst mistake that can make small developers.
I'm not sure that I would give just one advice to the developers. Something like, hey, don't spend all your royalties on your first day, or something like that, and just save something for the other title. But I would say that don't start with cloning without adding something new. Very simple question. It's just we've seen a lot of rude, unoriginal, really bad clones as a submissions to the publishing department, and I just don't want to see them anymore. I want to see something new, but little twist of innovation would go well. Just to take something from the top charts, add something new, and bring it to me. We'll talk.
How about what's the thing you've done that has made your company more sustainable as a long-term business? What's the best thing you've done?
I think that if you have a game that already has success, you don't need to make another genre. You need to make the next kind of the same game with better artworks, better technologies, and don't spread up on different genres. So we make next kind of game, and it works.
So specialize in a sort of a certain kind of similar game to what you've done before.
Yes, if you have success already, try to scope the success on another kind of the same type of game.
Okay. Yeah.
There is so known word success comma. If you have success, there is a possibility to land in deep coma, like when you do nothing, when you cannot think about anything, when you just living through your success again and again. It happens, and it's happening with many companies, and I saw many people living through it. And the only way to avoid this success coma is to work through it hardly. Pretend that you have no success now, and go.
What was the question again?
How do you make your company sustainable for the long term? And what's maybe an example of something you've done in order to make that happen, to be sustainable and last a long time?
Strange question, because the only way to be stable is to be Zynga near the Facebook. This normal way, but we've seen that this is not. So I work with Leonid so much time that I agree with him, and we're doing all time what we're working. We're doing all just one thing in all situations, just hard working every day. Then you're stable.
Well, our company is pretty young. We started in 2011, and we're still working on our way to turn into a stable, into long-term development. We're just working on looking for a new hit, and that's it. That's what our company going to do right now. We expanding existing IPs to the other series. We're just trying to employ all business experience that people have, and don't go into stay in a coma state, right? It's wrong situation. When people achieve success, they don't think about themselves as developers anymore. They start thinking about themselves as investors, or I don't know, just they're trying to change the seat. They're trying to try different suits. I mean, it's not a secret for the sustainable development. Keep doing what you're best at. That's a good strategy.
Absolutely. Everybody give another hand for Alexander, Roman, Leonid, Valentin, and Dean.